with us for the next hour. Happy to have you here. Donald Trump's largest donor is this guy. His name is Robert Mercer. He's a hedge fund zillionaire and a Republican activist. Robert Mercer and his family have put more money into the effort to elect Donald Trump president than anybody else in the country. In this election cycle, one of the ways Robert Mercer spent his money was by funding one of the many Republican super PACs that played a role during the primary process this year. Robert Mercer funded his own super PAC, and the person he put in charge of running it was Kellyanne Conway, who you know. She's now very famous, very widely recognized as the campaign manager for the Donald Trump campaign. When Kellyanne Conway got that job, when she became Donald Trump's campaign manager, she had to quit her old job running the Robert Mercer super PAC. So then the Mercers had to replace her. The guy they hired to replace her, the guy they hired to run their super PAC once Kellyanne Conway left to go to the Trump campaign, was this guy. His name is David Bossie. But very shortly after they put him in charge of their super PAC, he also left the Mercer family super PAC to go work for the Trump campaign, just like Kellyanne Conway did. He became the deputy campaign manager to Kellyanne Conway. Robert Mercer is also reportedly the principal funder of Breitbart.com. Breitbart.com is a website that's on kind of the ragged, slightly unnerving edge of the conservative media, depending on where you're coming from. They've been around for a while, but if you want a little flavor of what Breitbart.com is like in the conservative media universe, Breitbart.com is these guys. Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy. Breitbart famously called conservative commentator Bill Kristol a renegade Jew for the crime of not supporting Donald Trump. After the massacre at a black church in Charleston, South Carolina, where 9 black churchgoers were killed in cold blood by a white supremacist who fetishized the Confederate flag, Breitbart.com responded to that massacre with this. Hoist it high and proud. The Confederate flag proclaims a glorious heritage. The Breitbart.com editors are also seemingly encouraged to make as big a splash online as they can. One of their editors, very famously, was banned from Twitter altogether after he led an online campaign of racist and sexist abuse against the comedian Leslie Jones. In general, Breitbart's whole take on the Ghostbusters movie that featured Leslie Jones was that it shouldn't have been called Ghostbusters, it should have been called Weight Watchers. That's what Breitbart's like. When Donald Trump said that if he is elected president, he'll ban all Muslims from the United States, that struck most people not just as obscene, but also kind of obscure, right? Where'd that come from? It just seemed like such a nutty idea. Where would somebody even get that idea if they were going to propose that in a political campaign? Turns out that's not a nutty idea at Breitbart.com. You look at their online footprint and it's like, hashtag deport all Muslims. Not that you can't come here if you're a Muslim, but if you're a Muslim here already, we'll find you, round you up, and deport you. Immigration is terrorism forever until you're conquered. Close the borders. No immigration whatsoever. British settlers and their descendants built civilization. Indians never bothered to build more than a few teepees. Slaves built the country as much as cows built McDonald's. This is Breitbart.com. Notice, see the word slaves has scare quotes around it? Like there weren't really slaves. So that's a little flavor. That's Breitbart.com. Donald Trump's biggest donor, Robert Mercer, is also reportedly the main funder of Breitbart.com. The head of Breitbart.com took leave from that publication. At the same time Kellyanne Conway came over from the Mercer super PAC to become campaign manager, he took leave from Breitbart at the same time because the two of them at the same time were installed at the top of the masthead for the Trump campaign. At the same time Kellyanne Conway from the Mercer super PAC became campaign manager, the head of Breitbart.com became the campaign CEO. So from 2 Mercer-funded outfits came the campaign manager and the campaign CEO. From Breitbart.com and from the Mercer super PAC. I should also mention the next name down the masthead, the deputy campaign manager, also used to run that super PAC funded by the Mercer family. So you're getting the sense, right? It's one thing to like connect disparate dots. In this case, the dots are like here, here, and here. It's like this is a very tight-knit thing. This is an orderly thing to understand. Robert Mercer and the Mercer family and the Trump campaign. Robert Mercer and the Mercer family also fund something that's called the Government Accountability Institute. And that sounds good, right? It sounds like a kind of a generic good government thing. It's not a generic good government thing. It's a right-wing activist group that is run by the head of Breitbart.com, the guy who's now running the Trump campaign. It's also run by this person. This person runs the Government Accountability Institute with Steve Bannon from Breitbart.com. He's also himself a senior editor at Breitbart.com. And both of his jobs, both of those places that he works, they are both funded by the same hedge fund zillionaire, by Donald Trump's biggest donor. And with that support, working for those organizations, all funded by this one guy, this guy from the Government Accountability Institute, this editor at Breitbart.com, he wrote a book. And you will be very surprised to learn that this book spins some very elaborate, very damning conspiracy theories about Donald Trump. Just kidding. Not about Donald Trump. Obviously, the book is about how terrible, terrible, terrible Hillary Clinton is. And then once he produced this anti-Hillary Clinton book with all these elaborate theories about Hillary Clinton's terribleness, after he wrote this book, Trump's campaign chief, this guy's boss at Breitbart, the guy who used to run Breitbart.com, he decided to turn the book into a movie of the same name. So it's all very neat and tidy, right? It's all of a piece. It's all one freaking donor. This is this very specific pedigree at this one corner of the conservative media world and now the Republican presidential campaign that doesn't really look much like anything else in Republican politics. I mean, this is, it's super right-wing stuff. It's conspiratorial stuff, but it's not, in a lot of ways, it's not normal Republican messaging. It's unusual, banning all Muslims from the country, right? I mean, this is the corner of the conservative media world that says Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan is secretly working for Hillary Clinton, and he has been for months, and he must be destroyed. Also, they maintain that every Republican you might have ever heard of who's not named Donald Trump must be destroyed. Everybody from John Boehner to Eric Cantor to Paul Ryan to John McCain in Breitbart.comville, all of those guys, they aren't just the household name Republicans that have led this party, who every American has heard of if they care anything about politics. In Breitbart.com land, all of those folks are traitors. They're evil, secret liberals who must be destroyed. Breitbart.com has campaigned for primary challengers against John McCain, against Eric Cantor, against Paul Ryan, against John Boehner. They were the ones who led the online media campaign to throw John Boehner out as Speaker of the House. Incidentally, I should also tell you that Breitbart.com maintains that everybody in America needs to beware the rising threat of ecosexuals. People who have sex with trees. People are doing it with trees, you guys. It's terrible. Ecosexuals. And incidentally, if you're attracted to that story, you might notice in the sidebar there, get your own copy of the anti-Hillary Clinton book. Give us your email address and we'll send you the DVD version of it in case you don't read. Hurry, act now while supplies are limited. I actually don't think supplies are limited at all. I think they've got a lot of them. I think you can probably have multiple copies if you want. Just give them some fake email addresses. This week, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal reported that there has been, I guess you'd call it like a breakout. There's been a breakout from this otherwise insular little Breitbart.com corner of conservative media and political activism. Those two papers reported that apparently there are Breitbart.com fans. There are Breitbart.com true believers. There are people who buy this stuff, who are working inside the New York field office of the FBI. The New York Times and Wall Street Journal were first to report that the New York field office of the FBI actually used that anti-Hillary Clinton book and the DVD of the same name from the Breitbart.com guys, from the Breitbart.com editor and his boss, who's now the head of the Donald Trump campaign, the one funded by Donald Trump's biggest donor, right? They actually used that Breitbart.com anti-Hillary Clinton book as their source for launching a local FBI inquiry into Hillary Clinton. That was their evidence. That was their research. These agents in the New York field office reportedly decided that they needed to look into what Breitbart.com was saying about Hillary Clinton. It all sounds terrible. It sounds totally legit. We should look into that. We're the FBI. It had previously been reported that New York FBI agents had brought this anti-Hillary Clinton Breitbart stuff to a meeting, they had brought this anti-Hillary Clinton stuff to a meeting with career Justice Department prosecutors back in February. And one of the participants in that meeting described it as, quote, one of the weirdest meetings I have ever been to. But all we knew before now was that they had just brought some stuff about Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation to that meeting. We now know, based on this new current reporting, that what the New York agents brought prosecutors at that meeting wasn't just generic anti-Hillary Clinton stuff or Hillary Clinton stuff they had cooked up on their own. No, it was this stuff that had